take just a random verse of Gatha's and tell you what our interpretation of it is. Neither of us are scholars or linguists. It is just what we are taking from that verse and how we think it's applicable to the modern day society. So today's pick is Yasna 30.3. And with that, I'm going to share my screen. And also I wanted to let you know that we have been using through our various classes, we've been using different singing voices, worst of all being mine, because I cannot carry a tune or sing. I have a terrible voice, but Gathas are intended as poetry, as songs. You can sing it or recite it any way you like, put any kind of music on it you like. Last class, we listened to Caleb's rendering of the pronunciation. And today we are going to put on the actual recording of someone from the Monterey group who they actually have classes in Iran and they conduct the Gatha reading. So she has a beautiful voice and we're going to listen to how she sings this verse. This is this is the way we grew up hearing the Gatha song. So this is familiar to definitely Iranian Zoroastrians. The Parsis may pronounce it slightly differently, but in general, this is the pronunciation that we are used to. So with that, let's see, where is, I just lost the audio button. There we go. Here we go.
Fariba Jan, you have to share the sound because no one can.
Okay, I have to.
Oh no, we can hear it. We can hear it. Never mind.
We can hear it. Okay. Okay, now we go to the 3 translations. Now the 2 foremost mentalities known to be imaginary twins are the better and the bad in thoughts, words, and deeds. Of these, the beneficent choose correctly, but not so the maleficent. That's Dr. Jafari's, now Khosrow Khazai's. Of these 2 basic minds that at the beginning have been conceived as twins and born in thoughts, one represents good and the other evil. Between these 2, the wise chooses good and the ignorant evil. And DJ Irani, in the beginning, there were 2 primal spirits, twins spontaneously active. These are the good and the evil in thoughts and in words and in deeds. Between these 2, let me choose aright. Be good, not base. And there's the summary substance. Good and evil are mentalities, not entities. The talk about there being twins is pure imagination. One is good, getting better day by day. It is the progressive good. The other is bad. Both are thought in mind and then translated into words and deeds. Beneficence leads one to choose good, and maleficence takes one towards evil. It is human mind which creates good thoughts, words, and deeds, or otherwise, not mythical entities. Think good, get better. Think evil, see evil. So with that, Mitra, why don't you start us off?
So good day, everyone, from wherever you are. We are happy to have you again. It's a wonderful day, and this is a topic that comes very close to every Iranian Zoroastrian's heart, because this is a true story. As we were growing up in Iran, there were a lot of misconception among the Iranians. The Persians who inherited this religion, this philosophy, thought in two ways. A lot of times we were approached as teenagers, as kids, as adults, and people would ask, oh, what are you? And once we said we are Zoroastrian, the first question would have been either, are you fire worshippers? And the second, instead of that, it would be, oh, so you believe in two gods. And as kids and teenagers, we just had to say, no, 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 that's not true. We believe in one God. It's a monotheistic religion, blah, blah, blah. And we didn't know how to explain anything else. Fast forward 40 years after we left Iran, our group, and came to America, the first thing that I saw in Webster Dictionary was Zoroastrianism, and it said it's a dualistic religion. And all of this misconception, I think, in my mind, came because when Zarathustra 4,000 years ago, with his brilliant mind, chose and decided to talk about the two opposite poles of good and evil, and the way that he explained it, people didn't get it, because everybody believed in, everything being out there, evil being out there, good being out there. They have entities. And because he was so advanced and such a visionary, he came up with this concept, which is very, very advanced into the future, for people to understand that creation is neutral. I keep saying that, and still, even in our chat group, I see people just drifting toward the fact that, we have to fight Duruj or lies or evil. And the way that we say it is always how you say stuff. It's not what you say. A lot of times it's how you said it. Just like the Gathas that you listen to, it was beautiful. It was how it was sung. The material is always the same, but it's just how you say stuff. So when people talk about evil, and we have to fight evil, and we have to be good to kind of like conquer and just get away from evil, it never occurs to people to just internalize that. It is interesting that 4,000 years ago, Zarathustra, without knowing physiology, anatomy, psychology, physics, chemistry, none of that. Those things were not in processing times 4,000 years ago. But he came to understand that the minimum requirement for everything that is opposing on this earth, these are all my analysis. Nobody has written this down. I'm just thinking about this mantra, and the fact that if you look around into creation, everything has a minimum of two. We have, the simplest one is colors. We have minimum of two colors, black and white, two ends of the spectrum. And believe it or not, I looked this up in different sources. Between black and white, there are, I don't even know, I didn't even know this unit existed, between 10 million to 18 decillion, something like that, different colors. But the point is that the end of the spectrums is black and white. Those two colors. You cannot go any darker than black. You cannot go any brighter than white. And this applies to everything in this creation. We have male and female in mammals, in birds, in every creature that is walking and jumping and swimming. In the middle, we have hermaphrodites, we have other stuff, but the two ends are male and female. Now, in the past 20, 30, 40 years, I don't know how many years, there has been, I looked this up too. We have male and female, and then we have 10 different gender identities. They are in the middle. Now, coming to philosophy of Zarathustra regarding good and evil. There is, at the end of the spectrum, good, on this side is evil, and everything else is in the middle. You can be perfectly good, and you can be evil as evil can be. And that is all in our mind. Both of them don't have an entity. They are thoughts. They are in your conscious, in our subconscious. We create them. And that is another thing to understand, that human beings are the creators of good and evil in their minds, words, actions, whatever we do. In this universe, I would like to ask people on this panel, everybody is so intelligent, I would like somebody to come up with another creature on this planet that we know of that has the potential, that has the capability to choose. Everything on this earth, in my opinion, all the creatures, the plants, all the natural occurrences, volcanoes and droughts and tornadoes and everything that is happening, in my opinion, is neutral, except human mind. We create the good and the evil. No animal chooses to be evil. I don't think so. I haven't seen it. There is no proof. The plantation on this planet, they are what they are. A snake is what it is. The volcano is what it is. There are reasons, physical reasons, there are science behind it that things happen. But the only animal, the only creature on this earth that we know of that can create good and evil and choose what to do with it is mankind. And that hasn't happened for the past, like it's happened only for millions of years. Before that, when we were, descendants and evolving from monkeys or whatever, we didn't even do that because we did not have the brain power. So when we talk about good and evil, in my opinion, again, we should be very mindful that we are the creator. We do it as this one part of creation. We make it evil. We make it good. We choose what to do in our thoughts to begin with, and that turns into words and action. And that's it. So when we talk about Ahura Mazda, when we talk about God, when we talk about the essence of the creator, creation happened and it's neutral. It's not good and it's not bad. I know that a lot of people say that according to the Gathas, everything was created good. Personally, I don't see it that way. I think everybody was created neutral, not bad, not good, what it is. And everything is falling into its place. It starts from a one-cell organism, bacteria, viruses, parasites. They are good in their own right. Once they become into our life and do stuff to our organism, we don't like it. We think they're evil. But that's their entity. That is not a choice. A virus does not have a choice not to attack you. It sees a host, it attacks it. It damages something within us. Parasite too, it needs a living organism to leech off of it. That is the nature of that organism, and it's good for that organism. So when we call something bad or good, it's based on our judgment and how it plays a role in our lives. So really, We choose what is good, what is evil. And now Zarathustra, a brilliant mind, when he says that these two mentalities were together, were born together, happen together in our mind, and everything is the product of it. So choose to be good. Choose to be away from that end of the spectrum that is evil. Most people are in the middle. You know people, you know yourself. Nobody can always be good. Nobody can always be evil. But we need to stay away from the other end of the spectrum because we can, and because we save this creation, and because we can do good, and because it's to the benefit of other things in our creation. So the two mentalities are perfect way of putting how this creation is going forward. And I love to hear about your opinion. I mean, I don't know if anybody has said stuff like that. I have never said my piece that I think this creation, I have, but nobody has cared. But now I just want to make sure that everybody agrees with me, because I honestly think there is nothing bad or good as it is. It's how we perceive it, because we have that advanced mentality compared to the rest of this creation, everything that is moving and living and flying and, you know, just being part of this existence. So with all that said, Ronald did his homework, he admitted to us. I would like you to tell me your take on the homework that you did last night. Go ahead.
I just wanted to I came across her site again. I was like, oh, so I pulled it up. I love her grammatical. I mean, she used a lot of grammatical references to Avestan, and when it comes to, all I remember vaguely, just grammatically, syntax, the two entities, the primal spirits, because I love the way she had all the translations. All I stuck out roughly was when it came to the two spirits, that she was, one of the little points she made in her lecture was it, number one, and it was clear in the choice of language linguistically, like indicating an entity, a specific entity, a human being or something similar, whether it's divine or not, was not what the original Avestan. So that's what she was positing, that this is more of an abstract quality. The other thing that stood out for me was good was more good, not the best. It was more good, which I'm leaving out a lot of information. So Dina, I apologize to Dina. There was more an indication of progression, evolving, because the words were better, more good, as opposed to the best, and evil was, there was no comparative linguistically used, none. It was just evil. And so that's what she kept saying. There's an asymmetrical as opposed to symmetrical. That they're not co-equals. That's not the which always confused me a little bit, is not this analysis, but what, you know, I could understand by the time we got to Sasanian times where it would, and that's where a lot of Abrahamic faiths, because we did influence them, have this dichotomy. There isn't a dichotomy. There isn't a good and bad. So I could see why a lot of Abrahamic faiths would come to that conclusion. But you know what? In early, there was a lot of interaction with ancient Judaism and Zoroastrianism, and the same things. There's some similarities. There isn't, like, for one thing, heaven and hell. No, it doesn't. It doesn't exist. If you ask a super Orthodox Jew, so you believe in hell? No. To me, that's that who influenced whom, that's debatable. But I take that as exactly when I read Dina McIntyre. I was like, I mean, I knew the part is more our free will, our choice. That
Yeah,
that part
that
always.
is a very good point when we talk about choice. Choice is like what I think is that we are the only creatures that have a choice. We have taken away the choices from so many other animals. We have made them pets. It's as simple as that, everyday life. And we train them to be like us. We train a dog to sit and to roll over, and we think we're doing so much good. But the point is that we're using our choices, and the reason for that is because in our mentality, we have the spectrum of going from good to evil. We have them both. Everybody does. And what we choose to do with it is what counts. And to be a Zoroastrian, to be living a Zoroastrian life, this is what he's asking people to do. And then not even to do, is just pointing out what is. The two mentalities exist. You cannot deny it. And knowing that, then it gives you the accountability, the responsibility to choose what you want to do within this spectrum. So thank you for doing your homework. That was very good. And you brought Dina to life. Fariba has a different opinion than me. We share a lot of things, and then we are different itty-bitty at some points. If you would like to hear that.
I actually don't have a different opinion. I
for once.
completely agree with you, but I wanted to share something about back at the beginning about one of the biggest misconception about the Zoroastrian religion is the fact that it is a dualistic religion. I remember my first semester at the university, and this is back in Wisconsin, my English proficiency exam had a article that you had to read, and it was a comprehension question section that you had to answer. And the entire text was about how Zoroastrianism is a religion of two gods. They have a god of good and a god of evil. And it went on and on. And at that time, my English vocabulary was not that strong because, you know, I'd been here all of 3 months. And I kept reading it, and I was just incredibly surprised to see this in English about my religion that I grew up in. And I waited till the class emptied, and I went and asked the professor, where did you get this text? And she said, why do you want to know? And I said, because it's wrong. She said, it can't be wrong. I said, it is wrong. She said, well, how do you know? And I said, because I'm a Zoroastrian. Her eyes got really big. She took a step back and she said, really? You're a Zoroastrian? I thought this was an extinct religion that didn't exist anymore.
Yeah.
And then she proceeded to tell me that she had taken the text from encyclopedia, so it couldn't be wrong. So, you know, the West there is still today, there is a lot of misrepresentation. Like one of the most popular videos, and I forget who has put it on YouTube, it's an animated video about Zoroastrianism that's really well done. And it does have a lot of facts in it. But one of the things that he says is that, you know, you have the two entities, as she was saying. The good and evil are two physical entities, which is not true. They're all manifestations of our mind. And it's always good to take a step back, because as Mitra said, every day, everything in life we do requires an active mind to make a choice. Am I going to drive today or not drive today? Am I going to drive in this road or this road? Everything in everyday life we are presented has choices, and sometimes the wrong choices are quicker, get you there faster, and you know, you kind of have this feeling that it's not the right thing to do, but it's sort of like cheating, but it's going to get me to where I want to be or what I want to do faster if I pick this not so right choice. So in your everyday life, you want to apply that to what you see. On that note, Ash, would you like to share?
Yes, thank you. I can tell that you and Mitra, John, have thought about this over the course of a lifetime, so it's definitely difficult to follow up on what you all shared. I mean, I agree 1,000,000%. I don't think I could have said it better myself. I really do appreciate the level of analysis that you all put into it. One thing I could say about evil is when I've seen individuals who've made the choice that doesn't align with righteousness, I always see it come back to them. I was reading an article that turned into a speech by a famous historian, and he had maybe 4 or 5 decades under his belt. And he said, in the 4 or 5 decades I've been a historian, all that I learned can be summed up in just a few words, that everything you do will come back to you. And so whenever I see someone act out of injustice or they do something that isn't in the progressive mind, I definitely see it come back to them. You know, this is almost universal, and this definitely includes Zoroastrianism, where for example, if you look at the Bible, every single hair on one's head is counted. So, you know, like even our thoughts have an impact on our reality. And so I am so pro meditation, because what meditation does is it sharpens the mind. It's kind of like a guardian, such that when you are not mindful of your thoughts, it's almost like having a weak door, not having a lock on your door, and it allows these intruders to come in. And so you have to be really, really careful with how you think, because our thoughts create reality. I believe it was Rebecca's husband 6 or 7 months ago. He was talking about how we all share this universal mind, and within this universal mind, or the collective consciousness, as Carl Jung calls it, there's a tremendous amount of suffering in it. And so we can all connect to that. And so how do we heal others? We heal others by the basis of good thinking. And so I think in this world of craziness, from all the famine and the political turmoil and scarcity and this divide and our obsessions with technology and our addictions and all of this crazy rate of mental illness, I think meditation is just what the world really needs right now in order to help each other. And so I'm a big fan of Rumi, and he has this wonderful quote that says, yesterday I was smart, so I tried to change the world. Today I am wise, so I will change myself. And I thought that was so brilliant. And if you look at that, it's a very profound saying. And what he's basically saying is that the world is a mirror, and you as an individual have so much force and impact on the world, such that if you can meditate and really just sit down with your thoughts and think good thoughts, this will have a ripple effect into the world. And this is even scientifically documented. It's called the 6 degrees of separation. that every single human being, all 8 billion of us, can be traced by 6 people down, no more than 6 people. So, yeah, I think what we do as individuals has tremendous consequences, and we actually have to, as Mitra John said, we actually have to be very, very conscious of our choices, because when it comes down to it, it's a choice, whether it's ignorant or conscious. At the end of the day, it's a choice. Thank
That
you.
was a fantastic way of putting it. And when you talk about individualism, 4,000 years ago, Zarathustra started by saying, hear me, every man and woman, for yourself. Meaning, it's not about the group, it's not about the government, it's not about a deity out there to come and help you. It's about you, person. Every person has the responsibility, the opportunity, and the potential. We have been told as a human community that don't worry about it, you're nothing. I'm talking about, 8 billion people on this planet, and only like how many think like Zarathustra? How many people think that we matter? We are telling ourselves, and we are telling everybody that this philosophy is telling you, you as a person matter. You become better. You become wiser. You make the right choices, because it makes a difference in this universe. It takes one person at a time to get there. And that's what you're saying. Meditation as a group, fine, but do it for yourself. So you become stronger and more powerful in your mind, so you can choose the correct path, so you can see what good is, so you will not create evil, you will not destroy, you will not destruct, you will not harm. That is all an individual thing. And Zarathustra, in his messages, he's giving us the blueprint, like, okay, you have, every single one of you have this mentality. It is not specific to this group or that group or the intellectual. Yeah, the intellectual, all of you guys, you get it like this. But it doesn't mean that everybody should not believe that way. If they do, it's good for them. It's good for the community. It's good for the society, and it's good for humanity as a whole. So thank you for sharing that.
Good morning, Mark. Yes, it's Hansa. Thank you for joining us today. Would you like to share something?
Hello, everybody. It's good to see you all. If you hear my 2.5-year-old running around in the background, she's playing and watching Bluey, so I apologize about that. But I hope you all are doing well. I'm running a little bit late today. We had to go to the grocery store, take care of some, Sunday morning chores. So I've been listening for, I think, about 15 minutes now, and I really appreciate everybody's input. I have my screen over here and my camera right here, so if that's why, I apologize. But there are some things that I would agree with and disagree with from what I've heard. And this is my own perspective and my own information that I've taken from, both life experience. It's all subjective, is what I'm getting at. There are a few things that I admire and a few things that I find as total idealism. And one of the, and I mean idealism, and isn't like a negative context here, because we posit all this positive information like, oh, all we need to do is X, or all we need to do is Y for people in our communities, and then the world will somehow get better. But that isn't reality at all, because what is good thoughts to somebody who has no food? What are good words to somebody who has no shelter? What are good deeds to somebody who has no shoes? We cannot expect members of our society and our community as a whole, the greater human consciousness, to participate meaningfully if basic human needs are not met. And that's the thing that I think is very dangerous. If we don't meet the basic conditions for somebody's material lifeblood, if they don't have all of these things, then they cannot contribute meaningfully, because they themselves are in a position to be exploited. So that's something that I would call, and I would say that we need to be a little bit more mindful of, because we are getting into the idealistic area of Abrahamic phase, where we espouse an idea as a metaphysical sense, and it is going to solve somebody's material sense, and that's not true at all. We should strive to seek out injustice and feed those who need fed, give shelter to those who need shelter, and we should not ask for anything in return. We should say, it's just something that I need to do. And I know that we all think that, you know, good thoughts are important. You're going to have negative thoughts throughout your day. And I think for reflection, it's good to jot down your negative thoughts in a journal or something so you can come back to them when you're in a clearer mind, because we're all human. And making some kind of judgmental thought police on oneself is not for one's best actions or interests, because it's going to create a sense of guilt. So if we can understand how we're feeling in the moment, or maybe we don't, maybe we have a counselor or a psychologist or a good friend that we go talk to, and we can tell them how we were feeling in that moment and reflect on it. And to me, that's what good thoughts mean, is that I'm human, I'm going to have negative thoughts. Let's try to make those negative thoughts a positive thing by learning from them, by gaining wisdom, by earning wisdom, and participating in the struggle. So I challenge each of us to actually go and do good deeds rather than thinking good thoughts alone, you know, because deeds do far more for people than good thoughts or hopes or wishes or wants do, right? People need home, people need water, people need food, people need shelter, people need these things, and we should strive to give them that. So thanks for your time.
Thank you for your input. When you talked about the good thought and, you know, bad thoughts or whatever, absolutely, we have more bad thoughts than good thoughts because that's human nature, and it just is true. However, there was a saying that was about feelings, and it said, "Feel the feelings, but choose the behavior." And I teach that to students, and I say it's so okay to be jealous. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to hate. Those are human feelings. You cannot deny it. However, keep it to yourself. Feel them. Feel them. Go with them. You're sad. You're mad. All of that. If we don't, we are not human. But the point is, we have the potential to just feel them and let it pass and not act on it. All of these atrocities that are happening because people are acting on their negative thoughts, and it becomes negative words and negative doings and destroying this and hurting that. So the point is, when Zarathustra says, do realize you do have these two mentalities and they are coexisting. But we as humans, even the starving child, even the angry, the depressed, the anxious person, we have the potential to somehow make it better. As long as we know we are in charge of that, because like I said, a lot of societies, a lot of religions tell people you have no choice. It is God's choice. It is predestined. What I'm saying is that one person at a time, I'm only responsible for me. I can be good. I can do one good thing at a time. I can kind of like block my bad thoughts. I can. Everybody can. But you have to choose to do so. It is not easy. It is not pleasant. Meditation, if you agree, like Ash said, that meditation does good for people, you take 5-10 minutes of your day and do that. It's a choice. We cannot blame bad governments. They're everywhere. We cannot blame bad people that kind of like come, all these religions that go and convert people in starving countries and in poor countries because they give them the promise of heaven. They tell them this is reality. Like you said, reality in my country, in a lot of countries, they prey on these people being hungry, being poor, being ignorant, uneducated. They give them the promise of the other rhyme. If you die and you do good, you go to heaven. So don't worry about it. You can start here. You can be miserable here. We've seen it in our country. And people are convinced that they can't do anything for themselves. What I'm saying is that 4,000 years ago, one brilliant person says, you can, even if you're starving, even if you're being in slavery, just strive and get better. Not everybody is equal when they're born. Not everybody is born into happiness and wealth and, you know, a good family. But knowing that as humans, we can choose our feelings. We can choose our behavior. We are in charge of it. There is no hope out there for us. We are it. I just think it's more empowering to be in that frame of work than to say reality is not that. Absolutely, you're right. Reality is very grim. There are more suffering than happiness on this earth. And who has caused it? We have. There is no evil out there. We need to recognize that. We need to call those governments that are evil, evil, because they have gone from that part of the brain having those mentalities and thought into words and action. We need to face it, all of us. We may not be successful, but as a person, as a human who has this mind that has the potential to fight it, I think we should, even though it's not successful, it hasn't been, but we still should do it. Okay? Thank you so much. Can I have Eric share whatever you think with us on this topic?
Oh, yes, of course. Can you hear me?
Absolutely.
Okay, lovely. So, what I think of this topic is I actually agree with you. I agree with you, and actually, I believe this really relates to other philosophies I've been studying throughout, a few years of my life. Even, Taoism, which is an ancient Chinese philosophy. So, we have Lao Tzu, the somewhat mythological thinker, because it's not historically proved whether he existed or not, but he's considered to be the author of the Tao Te Ching, the Book of Morale, or as we can call it, the original Taoist script. And the very interesting thing about what he said was that the only things that we're in control of are our thoughts, our words, and our actions. And Taoism is very different from Mazda Yasna, because first of all, it's not really a religion. It became a religion after all when it merged with other Chinese philosophies and folk beliefs. But at its original form, it was a very personal, let's say, belief system, but not a religion, more like a philosophy. And then we have that basic Taoist way of seeing the world is that everything is out of your control besides the things which you can control, which are obviously your thoughts, your words, and your deeds, your actions. So here we have Zarathustra, who talks about doing the good deeds, which are cost of good words and good thoughts. And I think that this is very true. This is true, and it's universal. We also can see ancient Stoics like Marcus Aurelius being, one of the best emperors, if not the best one, of ancient Rome, who could indulge in all the, guilty pleasures that most of emperors did, but he just chose not to. He just chose to be a person of virtue. And I think this is some of the best values that can be just given to the rest of people, and that's what actually captivated me in Zoroastrianism.
Yeah, these mantras are thought-provoking. We don't have to agree. We can agree to disagree, but it makes us think about deeper things and apply whatever makes us better in this life. Like I said, we are only responsible for ourselves. And then after we're doing good and our conscience is happy that we are on the right path, we can share that with our neighbors, our children, our friends. And if they choose to take that path, it's good for them. It's not about me per se. Being righteous is totally different than being self-righteous. That is another thing that we need to keep in mind. Navi John, you're ready to say stuff. So go for it.
Yeah, I think a lot of good things. I love the discussion. I agree that I think it's very clear to me that the conversation here of kind of polar or moral vectors are contained to the human morality and ethical choices, right? And I think that's very clear. And we can see that, especially with the focus on thoughts, words, and deeds, because you don't have conscious thoughts, words, and deeds from the rest of existence, right? And from the rest of the natural world. And I think that's where the neutrality you mentioned, Mitra and Fariba, makes a lot of sense to me. I wouldn't even think of it as like neutrality. It's just like they're not choosing, right? So
It
this
is
is
what it
referring,
is.
yeah, this is basically about choice and the fact that between choices, we have, you know, two directions or moral vectors, as Dr. Irani says, that we can go towards. One is that's more harmful, and one is more productive and healing and towards Asha. And I think that's the major thing that stands out to me is choosing between these, the way these are written can sometimes seem simplistic, like, hey, choose the good, not the bad, right? Choose this one, not that one. But I think it's a lot more complicated than that, which is what makes the work happen, is you have to basically choose what does it mean to be going towards Asha, and like what are the things that are more beneficial and on the path that like to Ronald's point, I think Dina McIntyre's framing is a lot more around what is moving us towards that wholly entirely good state of existence. And you have to then reflect on what that means and how it's defined, because no one's giving you the prescriptive playbook. And that's what's again unique about Zoroastrian philosophy, is that we're getting a framework for how to think, but not what to think. You have to actually figure that out and make those decisions. And it takes a very conscious and reflective effort, which I think is where the hard work, but the growth happens. So.
Perfect. Yeah. And, you know, like I said, this is how I think about it. Everything is on a spectrum between black and white. Like I said, 10 million colors. Between good and evil, there's a lot of paths that we can take. We are never going to be at that perfect good, maybe just a few people, as long as we don't get close to the evil, that we have done our humanly duty. So that's why the choices come and we learn. There's a lot of trial and error in human nature, in human society, working together, not working together, living, just living. And we learn from our errors, and hopefully we choose better as we get wiser by learning, by growing up, by talking, by having these discussions. We just become better and closer to that.
And I think that's kind of the cause and effect of life, right? Exactly to that point, is as you get, and maybe that's another thing not mentioned in this particular verse, but you figure it out later, right? Is that as you make these choices, they have results. And then if you continue to be reflective, and maybe that's the bigger takeaway for this song, is that you want to be reflective on the choices you make, right?
Absolutely.
And see, how do you adjust? Because to your point, no one is going to be entire, even Zarathustra says, like, no one is essentially only one way or the other, right? It's not a binary state, but there are directions, like you said, or spectrums. So the more you can be aware of what direction are you heading in, and then how do you want to adjust next? I think that's the most powerful part.
Yes, I agree. Alberto, I know you're new to us, but we would love to hear from you if you can participate.
Yeah, I can talk right now. Yeah. So, as you know, well, if you don't know Fariba, I'm introducing myself now in Zoroastrianism, and it's what I talked yesterday with Rebecca. And I'm so glad to learning about this religion, about this community of fellowships, because I feel like not only like introduced to this new community, but also accepted and helped by all the community. Like Mark, that is right here, he offered me his help, and I appreciate so much that. And Rebecca did yesterday help me with my questions about some stuff and some specific words I didn't understand. And I like so much this religion about the concept of God, that he created us not only for help him here, but for be free and choose to be good or be bad, or to be sorry, also that freedom of to choose to be good and bad, it doesn't come with rules. You can be good, not with that rules of like taking cover your head, or don't drink alcohol or some stuff of the Abrahamic religions, but be good, only that. And that's something I like so much of what God creates of us, what says about us, that just be good. It's something I always think about. I always try to be like that, good with the people I meet and the people I don't know. I go walk in the street and I smile them, as I said in the first meeting I had with Rebecca, Mark, and Ronald too. Is something I appreciate so much about this religion, that there is no rule. There is just only to be good. You have to be good with the persons, not only for yourself, but for the people surrounds you, and not only for going to the heaven, but for just being good, because we are human beings. It doesn't matter what you believe or what you are. It's just we're trying to be good with the other people, or and not also people, but with animals too that has soul. I mean, that's something I like so much. Is the concept I always had of God, even since I was a child or when I was a Muslim, that God just want to be us the best ourselves, the best from ourselves, sorry, and to be good. So I like so much that, and I introduced myself right now a few days reading the Gatha. Sorry if I pronounce it so bad, sorry. And I'm starting liking so much what it says, the message of Zarathustra and and God. It's something I never read it before, and I started liking so much what it says, especially about to be good. Again, I said sorry, but the community we are. I like so much that it's like Artemis helping me too, and I appreciate that so much. I never feel like helped or interested for when I was a Muslim from other Muslims. So I appreciate that so much from this community. That shows me that this community is really pure in that sense, good. It has good intentions. So I like so much that from my partners of this community. So
Well,
thank you.
welcome. We're happy to have you. And I hope that you become better and stronger, and be good to yourself first. Remember that self really is important in Zoroastrianism. You are here to become wiser, more knowledgeable, and be good to yourself first. Then you can spread that. So yes, this religion is about self, and the fact that you can be the best you can be. And it's a reflective religion. It's not prescriptive. Like you said, there is no rules of what to do or not to do. It's just the principles of goodness and being righteous and being part of this creation, not just animals, just because they have soul. That has nothing to do with it. We just have to be in alignment with the rest of this creation. We are part of it. We may think that we are so special, but we really are not. We are just part of it's a tiny, tiny part of this cosmos. And we should do the best we can do to become the best we can. And this religion is liberating because it allows you, it tells you, go for it and become better. So thank you for being part of this community. We welcome you always. Sam,
Thank you so much.
you're welcome.
Everyone. Thank you.
You're welcome, Sam. Hello, how are you? Let's see what you have to say.
Hello.
Hi.
Sorry if I'm a little tired right now. Not best night's sleep. Let's see, what do I have to say? Honestly, I was kind of trying to figure out what you meant by these two beings in the song here. I think you mentioned that they aren't gods, if I recall correctly.
I'm sorry, say it again.
With when we were talking earlier about the Yasna here, or at least this verse here, you're saying that the two beings in this verse are, well, not gods. Is that correct?
They're not, yeah, they're not beings.
gods. No,
No.
they're just
A state of mind.
state of mind.
We're talking about state of mind. It's imaginary twins in our mind, in our brain, in our thought process, that there are two different entities in our brain and in our mind and in our mind. So everything is based on what we think. Our thoughts are so strong, and it can go either way. Just like anything else on this universe that has two poles, South Pole, North Pole, positive, negative, male, female, we have those two mentalities within us. and we create the whole shebang of goodness and evil and bad and, you know, in thoughts, words, and deeds. That's what it's talking about. So don't look for evil sitting in the corner. You have created it. As a group, we have created it. We call something bad. We think something is damaging to us. We don't like volcanoes, even though it's the best thing that can happen to nature thousands of years down the road. So what our perceptions are creates evil, and what our actions are doing creates good. That's what this verse is talking about. So there are not two gods. There is no God. God did not create evil. God did not create good. We are doing it as human beings because we can. We are the creator of that in our own lives, in our own planet.
Mhm. Okay, it's just that I happen to be reading a little bit further along in this now, and it really strikes me that, like in the fourth verse, it seems to, at least to me, say that they're, well, creators. Like we're referencing back to this verse, that the mentality, spirits, whichever first you want to use or translation you want to use. Well, the fourth verse says, at least to me, that they created something, and if, well, since they created something, would they not be gods still? Am I making sense?
It's so, Sam, think of them more as like moral vectors for your choices, right? So if you're making, this whole section is around the good and evil, or not, and good and evil is not the right word. It's not actually the direct translation even used. It's like a figurative one. It's about more harmful or more beneficial choices that you're making. So that's the frame of this overall discussion. So think of it that way, that the thoughts, words, and deeds you create with your choices can have a moral kind of vector to them, right? Is that something that's helping the world become a better place, or is it something holding the world back? And a lot of this goes back to like the definition of what asha means, like what is the ideal kind of existence. And so, for example, if you are going towards, you know, justice and helping others and making the world better for all of the existence, right? That's something going towards the more beneficial, right? That's a beneficial state. Versus if you're thinking solely about yourself and your gain and what you want, that might be more destructive or more harmful because it's limiting to just you. Does that make sense?
I'll have to give it more thought, but I think it's starting to make more sense.
Fariba John, I think you're muted. Or Mitra John, sorry.
So, Sam, it takes a while to understand this concept. And it's okay. The more you hear, the more you get aligned with what we're trying to say. It is different than other philosophies. That's why everything is on mankind. Everything is on us, because according to this universe and everything that is in it, we are the only ones that have that mentality power that drives into saying what we say, creating all these things, the technology that is around us. We are creating AI that is going to create other stuff. It is our mind, not me. But what I'm saying is that mankind has the potential to create and then to destroy, to damage, to heal. All of these things that are good or bad in our communities, in our societies, in our world, are the creation of humanity. We are in charge of all of this. Creation happened. Yes, Ahura Mazda, Lord Wisdom, was the creator, did all this, you know, the whole universe, the whole cosmos. It was Big Bang Theory, all of that. But after that, because we are here right now in this existence, we are co-creating, we are destroying, we are doing it. Look around you. All these discoveries, all these inventions, and then all these wars, all this misery, all these catastrophes that mankind has caused throughout ages, thousands and thousands of years, it is us doing it because we have these two mentalities that govern our actions. And you are supposed to choose the good part. We all have both. We can say bad things, we can say good things. We can act evil, we can act good, right? And this one verse is about that. Okay?
Okay, I'm sorry, we are kind of running out of time. I know David cannot share, he's on a train. Ben, would you like to share?
I'm sorry, I'm not. Were you asking me something?
Yes, I was asking if you wanted to share something.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Don't have the capacity at the moment, but I appreciate
Okay,
it.
no problem, no problem. Last but not least, Mark, you had your hands up. Did you want to say something before we end?
Oh, you're mute.
There we go. Sorry about that. Hopefully that fixed that. My biggest thing is the prescription that there is not. My issue is the idea of good and evil being the issue that we encounter is that they're so subjective, because good and evil in itself is not prescribed anywhere. It's not written down. It's not stated. An example is this: a farmer is hired by a community. He introduces a new fertilizer that was told he could grow food. That failed miserably. The farmer's intent was good. The outcome was bad. The farmer evil? No. So this is where I get into where what is the overall intent? Is the intent good, but it had a poor outcome because we didn't apply enough scientific research behind it? So I just challenge everybody, like, let's not delve into the absolutes of good and evil in an Abrahamic sense, but more so in a scientific, progressive sense. Such as if it harms somebody, yeah, absolutely. An example of that is the first vaccine against smallpox. It harmed people. It caused a smaller sickness, but it inoculated against a greater sickness. So we must use a progressive mindset when we encounter things. Now, there are things that are, of course, evil, like hurting people that should not be harmed. That is bad. You should not do that. But there are things where we use the word good and evil too nonchalant in our world, and especially in the English language, where it loses all sense of meaning. So this is where I want us to kind of engage with is this a regressive thought or is this a progressive thought, rather than good versus evil in that dichotomy? So that's all I have. That's kind of how I see the world. And
No,
thanks again, everybody.
That's perfectly fine. That's how we see it also. You're right. And that's where I mentioned trial and error. When we have the good intention to do something right and it fails, you learn and you go about your business and doing another thing. The science is working like that. Like you mentioned, vaccines. It took 3 months to come with COVID vaccines. People got it. A lot of people got saved. A lot of people had side effects. So the second series came out. It was less side effects. It is trial and error. And you're absolutely right. And that's why I think everything that are the opposite are on a spectrum. The beginning of the spectrum and the end of the spectrum. Good being on the beginning, evil being at the end, and 90% of the things are in the middle. And hopefully, like you said, if we are progressive, we go toward the good and get away from the evil. But it's very subjective and it depends on time and place and culture and all that. But the bottom line should be that intention should be to move toward good. So thank you so much all. We really enjoyed talking to everybody. I learned from all of you. Hopefully, you listened to everybody and got something out of it. That's the purpose of these discussions. We are not teaching anything here. We don't have the credential to teach anything. We are not academics, but we have a lot of opinions because of this trial and error, because of living so long, older than all of you, and being through so much. So we are a little bit, I hope, wiser in some senses, because we've seen it, been there, done that. So we are sharing that, and you as young intellectuals share your ideas, your experiences with us, and we do appreciate it. Hope you have a wonderful rest of the weekend, and see you next.
Have a good day, evening, and thank you for joining us. Until next time. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.